Well, good way to start the new season. Welcome back to the fashion rack. So today on request, we're gonna make a skinny jeans into a more of a baggy kind of jeans without it getting into a flared jeans, which is a little bit of a challenge. But first things first. Take a good look. That's a skinny jean. You guys, I found this jeans in my special old jeans and it's really tight. It looks a little bit awkward, but for this method that we're gonna try, we want to have a jeans that is either tight or really tight. Okay, let's start with opening the side seams of the jeans with either a little scissors or the seam ripper that I recently bought and already, I think I'm gonna unhem because the baggy jeans usually has to be a bit longer too, so we can just get the hem out and leave it raw edge, and to get the side seams open, it's good to unhem it anyway. Why is it that normally the skinny jeans to wide jeans tutorials are flared jeans? Does anyone know the answer, children? Well, because oftentimes a jeans is hard to open all the way to the top. So what is done is that it's only open till a certain point. When the leg seam is open in the bottom and closed in the top, you kind of get a triangle shape. Lots of width in the bottom and no width in the top. A flared leg is born. So we're gonna open the leg all the way to the top. We're gonna go crazy today, guys. Jean seams are hella strong. On one side, if there's like on the back side, like sort of like little loops in the seam. Just to be clear, I'm not talking about these loops that you see on the left side, but I'm talking about what you see on the right side, a straight line of stitches. We call it Chainstitch, but it looks up close like there's tiny loops. It means you can loosen the thread and just loosen the seam like this. Very satisfying. Look, you guys. Few stitches loosened easily, but all together. Second one. I spent a lot of time seam ripping this whole pants apart. Then we have the third one. I honestly don't know what I was thinking. Overload. Why are jeans stitched 4 times? Let's be honest, I probably was not thinking. Again. In hindsight, I'm looking at these jeans and I'm like, do yourself a favor. You need to cut it. And just cut the jeans really close to the seam. Panels are gonna be a little bit smaller. I don't think there's gonna be a real huge difference in the end result. But literally cut the time it takes to finish this project in half. When you finally arrive at the waistband, first of all, congratulations. But now, hold your breath and cut it through exactly in the middle at the side seam. If you, like me, were so dumb to have seam ripped all those seams open, to be able to do this, you probably have to open the waistband a little bit too. Easiest way to go about it is to take a jeans or trousers that you already have and you know fits well, and take the pattern from that. And at least you have a little bit of guarantee that it will fit well. If you have pattern paper, take your pattern paper. Otherwise, take other paper, stick it together so that it's big enough. I don't know if you believe in signs. Name is in the paper. This is crazy.
Wow.
Either take weight or your dog. Just make sure the pants is flat. I'm trying to feel with my nail or with the tip of the pen through the paper where exactly the seam is. Look around the corner to check, double check. And exactly, or more or less, exactly there, make a little mark. Don't worry too much drawing it exactly straight. We're gonna use rulers to even it out. And when you arrive at the crotch, make sure it's all folded out well.
That's what she said!
To really be able to trace it correctly around this corner, trace directly along the underside of the waistband. For convenience, we will ignore the pockets, as we already have those in the jeans anyway. But with ignore, I mean that we add it to the pattern, we're not gonna cut it off. And you guessed it, also directly over the crotch seam. And of course the entire outer leg seam. So the back leg is wider, and the front leg is less wide.
Oh my
You
god.
can fold it out, really. That's gonna be a little bit harder to trace. So you might have to look a little bit around the corner. Just make sure you see one side. Outer seam is visible. Tracing the outer leg seam, the waist and the hem, it's easy peasy, just like we done it before. However, when you get to the inner leg seam, we can't really see it. But obviously, yours truly got some tricks up their legs. Sleeve. Wait, what? So I'm gonna make 2 markings, sort of parallel next to each other. One where the fabric folds, as a sort of temporary helping mark. Then I'm gonna peekaboo around the corner.
Hello.
Not only of the paper, but also the fabric. To check how far the seam is thickness from the fold. And this distance I'm gonna add to the width. So if I measure 2 centimeters, I'm gonna add 2 centimeters, which is why, oh my, you feel it coming. We made the first helping marking. Oh, you're good. I'm good. We're all good. Take your ruler and make those lines smooth like a smoothie. And this is your last chance to patch it up a little.
Don't get up.
Then we should end up with a pretty-ish, good-ish indication of where the seam should be. If you have a pattern of a trousers, you might want to take that. It'll save some gray hairs. If you are happy with the width of the pants that you took the pattern from, you may skip this step. I'm gonna add some extra width to the legs. So you want the whole leg to be like wider, which you can reference from a pants you already have that you like. Just measure around the hem, what's the circumference. So if you want, for example, the circumference around the hem be about 6 centimeters wider, you have to divide it through 4. Dividing the width evenly across the 4 sides, so inner and outer leg seam, front and back. For the inner leg seam, both the front side and the back, first add this width at the hem. From the crotch downward, draw a nice curve towards this new point. But as you can see on this drawing, you do not make any changes to the crotch seam, so make sure you don't add width there. For the outer leg seam, front and back side, also add the width at the hem first. Start adding width at the widest point at the hip and draw a smooth line downwards without adding any width to the hip itself, so that we can keep the size the same. Drawing on the back side of the other one accidentally. That's what you don't want to do. I didn't make a new paper for nothing. Hello, good morning, America. I have to trace the front leg again.
Eventually.
Well, now you really know the skinny on pattern drawing. Or shall I say baggy? Make sure the front leg of the skinny jeans is on the front leg of the pattern. Just saying. Now I'm gonna try and line up the skinny jeans in a way that makes kind of sense, I hope. Try to line up the crotch seams as well as possible. But as you can see, the skinny jeans has a much shorter crotch seam, but it's still lining up pretty well. And at the hem, I'm gonna try to put the jeans exactly in the middle, so that just like before, we end up with more or less the same width on the outer leg seam as the inner leg seam. And no, the waist is not really lining up at all. We gotta do some concessions somewhere. So much effort in making this kind of basic trousers pattern. I think I might keep it in case I ever find the motivation to sew a trousers again. So we're gonna track and trace again with a new piece of paper. If you trace that and cut that out, basically now have the pattern for the side panels of the front leg. On a little side note, please leave your hot tips in the comments. Help with
1 hour later.
chronic distraction. After I cut it out, you should end up with pattern pieces that look more or less like this. And if they don't, go back to step 1. For the back side, it's gonna be exactly the same. So lining up the back seam well and getting the hem in the middle of the hem of the pattern. And if you want to keep the basic pattern, don't forget to trace it onto new paper and then cut it out. And if you've named your children, which, I mean, don't tell me you're crazy, there's no reason to not also name your pattern pieces. Write on them front or back, inner and outer seam. Thank me later, or thank me now. Send me money, give me a back rub. Gonna do one more pattern adjustment that is totally optional. If any of this confuses you, just go to the next step. These are the outer leg panels, so from the front and the back leg. And where I lay them against each other would technically come the side seam, but because the panels are gonna create already 2 seams on the side, we really don't need this third seam too. You see that all along the legs, the lines are straight, so you can easily just stick them together and pretend there never was a seam there. However, at the hips the lines are curved, creating this little space that's still open. So I cut in the pattern twice, so I could close the gap, and as you can see, this kind of moved the curve and created tiny dots at the side. However, they were so tiny, we just ignore it and nobody's ever gonna find out, I hope. For the inserts we need extra jeans. On the jeans that is, hopefully when you look from a distance, it will be sort of the same color. My concept is gonna be to have a contrasting insert on the outer side, but have the inside insert sort of blend in. But you can totally choose your own concept here. You know me, I don't judge, unless you make like something really ugly.
Wow.
Since the outer leg patterns were super duper long, just because my legs are like super duper long and sexy, it's not always easy being me. Because I had to cut the pattern in half to make it even fit out of the fabric. Joy of upcycling. So we just created an extra horizontal seam somewhere below the knee. But don't forget to add also seam allowance here, which, by the way, you have to add seam allowance everywhere. Just 1 centimeter all around the pattern will do. But now hold your pin cushions, because nothing is what it seems on the fashion rack. Okay, maybe if you were on my channel before, it will be what it seems. We're gonna do some seams inside out. Therefore, I'm gonna zigzag all the edges, but I want the inside out seams to have a nice fray to it. We want it to fray, we want it to slay, we want it to stay yay, but we don't want the seams to unravel away. So I'm not gonna zigzag those edges exactly at the edge and leave a bit of the fabric free.
Several song-filled hours later.
I'm like, how did we do that? Do you ever check? 2 words. Waistband. We might have forgotten this small detail a little. Don't worry. If you're gonna sew this fabric without a waistband onto your jeans, it's not gonna hold up, darling. Don't worry. I have a solution, like always. So instead of adding waistband, I'm gonna add a facing. I'm gonna sew this straight piece of fabric onto the outside, good side on good side. Fold it around and top stitch over the edge. Then finish the open edge with a zigzag stitch. And voila, a pretty neat finishing. I start with sewing the bottom and top half together of my side panel. If you didn't remove the side seam out of your pattern before, I would close those first. I first close good side on good side. And then I top stitch on the good side, very close to the seam, catching the seam allowance underneath. Let's first connect the inside leg panels of the back side, so this short side. And to make the seam stronger, I'm top stitching every seam, attaching the seam allowance to the fabric. The back side is in, check, almost fitted together perfectly. Then the front side, and luckily we can't really get confused because we wrote everything on our pattern. Or can we?
1 hour later.
No comment. But same as the front, we're gonna close the crotch seam first and then close them along the legs. Every time I'm getting at the crotch, there's gonna be 2 seam allowances meeting. But to avoid bulk, I move 1 seam allowance one direction and the other one the other way, so that the crotch doesn't get too, well... After connecting the front and the back, I'm gonna give it a quick press now that everything is still super easy to reach. And before putting in the contrasting panels, I'm gonna close the waistband on all sides with just some back and forth stitches, just to be sure. Seams on the inside or on the outside, that's the question. But yeah, on the outside, it's a bit more for like cool people like me. I thought I only had kind of like 4 seams left on his pants or something, but for some reason a whole day was added to the project again. The moment of truth, let it all be worth it, please. I'm just gonna get a little bit more width out at the hip, half a centimeter at the waistband, and then just sew a smooth line towards the original seam at the hip, and do the same for the other 3 side seams. And I didn't even bother getting out the original seams. I thought it might be actually clever to have 2 stitch lines at the hip to make it stronger. And okay, I was lazy to get them out. It's a win-win thing, okay? It is long, it is wide, and I think I haven't looked this good in a while. Oh, thank you. Oh, you weren't? Oh, I thought you were thinking the same. What am I wearing? Thanks for asking. It's all me. It's all me. The Lil Nas jacket. Denim scrunchie back. All denim every day. Check out those tutorials if you're interested. If you're not, I see you in another video. And also, subscribe if you didn't do that yet. And many thanks to my patron Ellie for supporting the channel. Like the video. Or leave a comment when I have new shoes. So also compliment those. That's all. I'm sorry, I don't know. I really can't think of anyone cooler than me right now. Did I say that out loud? So I have this gray trouser that I upcycled a long time ago when I was still a virgin. The whole time I'm stuck in my own fashion. Basically see it as 2 sides, the inner leg and the outer leg. My fashion is stuck in my fashion. The inner leg and the outer leg seam. And I never said I make practical things, okay? Front and the back side.